Hey everyone, this is Founders365 with me, Steven Haggerty, and today I'm speaking to a good online friend. That sounds a bit weird, but a good friend, Teis Nilsson, who is a marketing agency owner. We were just talking about what we should introduce him as. He wears a few different hats. How are you today, my friend?
Hi, Steven. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm good, man. It's a little late here, but, it works.
Good, man. I'm glad. No, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. We've been meaning to do this one for a while, so I'm glad glad we're doing it. So
Yeah.
my first question is always, what do you do, man? What do you do? Tell me what you do.
Oh, you want the sexy title or you want the sort of a little bit more boring one?
Let's go for the sexy one. Why not?
Yeah, sure. What I do is basically most coaches and therapists, they know their stuff super well, but they don't necessarily know how to bring it to the market. So what I do is I help them sell their services fast, without all the discounts, without all the fluff, without all the uh, gimmicks and tactics, but with an actual system that they can implement and scale to infinity.
I love that. Scale to infinity.
Oh
So
yeah,
you've been in the marketing game a while.
sure.
What made you start doing this? What made you start focusing on coaches, therapists, those sorts of people?
Actually, that's a bit of a long story, but I'm going to
We've got
try and wrap
time.
it
We've
up
got
and
time.
make it sort of, digestible.
Yeah.
When I got started in like an online space, it was because my son got sick. And I had a boss at the time. I fell in under the sort of impression, like everybody else, that you're supposed to have this job security, good
Yeah.
job benefits, and work 9 to 5. The problem was that I didn't work 9 to 5. I went away before the kids got up, and I got home when they were going to bed. So I didn't really feel like I was contributing much as a father. And when he got sick, I really needed to be around.
Mm.
And my boss said, we can't afford to not have you available at all times. So if you can't be, maybe it's better we end the sort of our collaboration here. And I agreed
Wow.
with him. I thought, I don't do this because I like the job. I do this because I like my family and I want to make sure they have something to eat.
Yeah.
So we cut it short, and I went for a while wondering what I wanted to do with my life. And then I started thinking, we had this e-com bubble, I think 2010, 2015-ish, where everybody, they started a drop shipping store. It was the
Hmm.
big thing and the right thing to do, and it was
Yeah.
easy, and everybody thought that.
We've all seen the adverts.
Yeah. And trust me, it's not as easy as people make it out to be. There's a lot of customer service, there's a lot of branding, a
You
lot of
mean you
posts,
mean to
and
say that you can't just start a Shopify store and be a millionaire in the first month?
yeah, that's basically what I mean to tell you. Because
Oh, that you've burst my bubble.
yeah, no, but most people, they think if I build a website, they will come and see it. It's kind
Yeah.
of like building a shed in the woods and hoping that people will come and buy maybe little nicky things that you've
Yeah.
made. It doesn't work like that. You have to get it in front of people. If they don't know you exist, you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
So I found out that the hard way. I'd taken some marketing courses, and I thought, if I make a Facebook ad, man, I'm going to be a millionaire by tomorrow. But I started making money. The problem was that my margins ate most of it, and what was left was going into ads.
Yeah.
And then I had the customer service, because what I did was I went into gaming stuff. I sold the gaming computers and stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that, and
Yeah.
it's really expensive tech. So
Mm.
if something goes wrong and I have to pay for a shipment and pay a refund at the same time, man, my
There
bottom
goes your
was
profit.
yeah, exactly. So I built this thing, and it started really making money. The problem was that it wasn't my money at all.
Mm.
So I got frustrated, and I thought, what on earth am I doing wrong? There must be some piece of the puzzle that I'm missing. So I started taking courses. I started reading books. What most people do, they start looking for answers when things aren't working.
Yeah.
And then along the way, I came across a few different things, like I don't know if your audience are used to like Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels and those kind of things, but
I feel like most people would have heard of ClickFunnels
yeah,
in some states.
sure. I started learning about buyer's journey. I'd been in sales when I was younger, so I had a feel for that. It wasn't just starting off from scratch. And I have a feeling that most people, when they start out in the online space, they don't really understand that a sale is not just going up to somebody with some product they've never heard of or have no interest in and saying, hey, I want to give you this. It's only $5,099 today and you'll get it. and everybody who hears that are going to be weirded out and wondering what exactly, if they're supporting a Nigerian prince or if they're actually buying a product or something.
Yeah.
So I quickly, saw the dots and connected them and started building them as funnels with upsells, and that increased my margin. But the problem was there was still this crazy amount of customer service, because tech like gaming computers, headphones with adjustable sound system. It takes some knowledge. It takes some understanding of how to adjust the drivers to really hear the steps when you're sitting there in your Call of Duty or whatever you're playing. So I just replaced a job for another job, and I wasn't comfortable.
I think that's something that happens all the time, doesn't it?
I think so. I think a lot of the time we think that we're going to become a millionaire, and then
I think the online marketing in general is sexy, right? It sells the dream. It sells the top 1% of the end result. It doesn't tell you everything else. So when you realized you had just replaced your job with another job, and one that probably sounded with a lot more customer service, a lot more hassle, and a lot more pressure as well, I'm sure, from your family and other people. What did you do then? How did you then make that switch to make it a business effectively?
Well, what happened was that I started again, frustrated as I was, searching for solutions, talking to old friends. I started networking, and funny enough, I came across a guy. We grew up together, and he had become a personal trainer. So we basically started talking, and he got impressed with what I built. The amount of customers, the amount of marketing that I was running, the results that I was getting. And he asked, "Hey, would you mind helping me? I'm kind of stuck. I don't know where to go from here, because when I started, I got good traction, and people came in, and people saw me, and I was lean, and everything rolled. But then eventually, I was working more in the business than on the business, and I didn't get any customers. So I could really use some help, like branding myself, marketing myself, getting out there, and the whole terminology, getting out there. That's also a big one where people think, oh, but if I just post 10 posts a day, then people are also going to come.
Yeah,
that's not
There's all
true
these
either.
myths around, aren't there?
Yeah, indeed.
But here's a question. Sorry to interrupt the story, but
no problem.
Why are there so many of these myths? Why are there so many beliefs in the sense of, oh, if I post 10 bits of content a day, I'm going to get sales? I saw on the ClickFunnels forum earlier that someone had basically signed up to ClickFunnels, and they're like, why have I not made money? Right? It's this belief that you sign up to something, or you sign up to a website, or like you said earlier, and they're not coming. So why do people think this?
Well, I actually think that's quite a complex question, but I actually think there are, I think there are a few mindsets behind it, because people are generally lazy. They like to have hey, I just buy this and then things will happen.
They like the result.
Yeah, exactly. They want the magic switch, the blue pill, the sort of solution that's going to solve it all.
Secret sauce.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, good marketers, they know and understand this, so they will take advantage of people's hopes, dreams, and aspirations to get to where they want to be as easily and as quickly as possible. But most what so-called marketing gurus, they honestly, they have no clue what they're talking about. I see
Yeah.
so much, really bullocks advice out there, real crap where, some big shot, and honestly, I think it comes down to social proof, but some big shot sitting there saying, but as long as you post 10 posts a day, you're gonna make money. But it doesn't tell them that they need to also be able to close the interest that
Mm.
comes from posting. They need to be able to take that interest that comes from these platforms where they're posting and the reach and drive it somewhere. They just sell the 10 posts a day, and then people think, oh, but it's that easy. I just got to do this. Then I'll be profitable.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mindset shift paired with like bad advice from thought industry leaders that boils down to people expecting to, basically make money as easy as that.
Mm.
Buy ClickFunnels, then I'll make money.
I think there's a huge amount of naivety that people coming into, and this isn't about just marketing businesses. I think this is about any business at all. There's always going to be a level of naivety when someone starts a business in terms of what they want to achieve and the speed at which that will be achieved. I've definitely had failed businesses in my past. You've probably had, you've already said that you've got failed business in your past, but
Sure.
do you think the, I don't want to say blame, but do you think the naivety should be the business owner's responsibility to figure out, or better content out there to teach people things in the right way?
Well, I'd say it should be sort of a mix between both, because you can try. I don't know about you, but I have kids. You can tell
Not
them
yet, just a dog.
yeah, okay, well, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can tell them, don't climb that tree in the dark because it's wet. The kid will only hear climb that tree because it's wet. And they'll go up there and they'll fall down and they'll fall flat on their butt and they'll cry and they'll scream and they'll get sad, but they'll learn.
Mm.
Again, you can tell the kid, if you don't drive your bike, you're never gonna learn how to ride it. But the kid doesn't, necessarily hear what you're saying. So you can put good content out there without actually getting people to hear it or to pay attention to it.
Mm.
But I think there is an important aspect to putting good content out there that people who have been burned will know what not to look for and will be able to find a good solution. Because, maybe 70% of all my customers have worked with somebody else before they look me up. I'm not cheap, so obviously they have to have an understanding of why they need marketing, and they have to have an understanding that it's better to pay what it takes once and get it right than to pay a little more every time.
Massively. And I think that's something that what I see as well in terms of the content people and people online is the ones that are not up to the right level in terms of offering services or offering products never stick around. They never make it. They may be in the game for 6, 9, or 12 months, and then suddenly they disappear or they change focus to something completely different. And
Indeed.
I think you have to take that with a pinch of salt a little bit, but also as a purchaser, if someone's buying services from others, you need to be looking at the track record, how long have they been online. Even if I don't post a lot of social proof, but I'm always showing up every day. And if anyone asks me, I can give you clients, I can do this, I can do that. Because I don't need to share like a Stripe screenshot of what's going on, right? I think that's a little bit. I think that marketing idea is a little bit exhausted.
Me too. Yeah, I agree.
In that sense,
and I see that often with marketers just starting out. They have this idea that because they don't really understand what they're doing, if they show that they've done a copy from some other funnel and made money for someone, that everybody will show up eventually.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case. You know, if you can't figure out why a campaign stopped working, or if you can't figure out why a funnel isn't converting right, then you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. And I think since marketing is so, it's the new sort of black, everybody wants to do it, it's sexy. I'm a marketer, right? I think that most people just see the title and the glam and think that I'm going to own a yacht and a new Lamborghini tomorrow. So I'm going to become a marketer. I'm just going to copy Russell Brunson and then I'm going to be good for life. And I think you can come a long way with copying, but eventually you need to start learning and understanding and implementing and finding out why it works. And I don't think you should make the switch to other people's money before because I feel like then you're burning your clients. I don't care if you work with somebody who owns a company and you do it for free. That's fine by me. But if you charge money and you put someone else's reputation on the line or somebody else's business on the line, because there are laws, there is legislation that governs what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. If you don't have a clue, man, you can seriously burn somebody's business to the ground.
Yeah, and quickly as well, right?
Indeed. I mean, just recently, I had a request from someone who was referred to me by another customer who had worked with somebody, and she was about to send out a lot of emails to a mailing list, and we're in Europe, so we have this thing called GDPR, General Data Protection Rule, and that means if you contact somebody without them actually agreeing to be contacted, it's a fine. And it's not just, the itsy bitsy little bit, I'll get past it kind of fine. It can easily be £7.5 million for one email. Dude, that's a really, really risky business model.
Yeah. And what did she do? So she contacted you, and what did you do when she was telling you this?
What I did was I made sure that we had enough knowledge around what this other marketing pro had been doing for her to actually know whether we could safely assume that she could send emails or not. And when I could tell for sure that there were no agreement from the email lists whatsoever, I told her to put the project down. And I told her to file a complaint with the authorities in the country where she's located. And she has, and she's gotten her money refunded.
Wow.
And the marketing so-called pro obviously doesn't work with the people who she was going to refer him to.
That's crazy. It's very rare you actually hear a successful story in the sense when, it goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
I've seen so many people get burnt online and spend money that they shouldn't be spending, or get out. I hate when people are like, oh, just put it on a credit card and stuff like that. It's like, if you can't afford it right now, there's always another option.
Indeed.
I'm a firm believer that there's pretty much every single bit of knowledge already out there online, and if you don't have the money to employ someone like you or someone like me, then that person should be investing that time into self-education, into self-learning, into free Facebook groups. There's loads of free advice out there. I'm a big believer in paid advice and support is a lot better in the sense of you have better emotional commitment to it and all that kind of stuff. But there should always be that time factor in anyone's journey in the sense of education, which is always going. So you've been in this game for 5 years, right?
Yeah, 5+.
5+.
The marketing thing started back in I think 2013 or something, and then from the marketing agency owner, it's 5+ years. I think I started 2015. So
time flies, right?
Yeah, it does.
So talk to me about some of the struggles that you've had growing this business, what you've gone through, because you've got a good story coming up. I know it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's been many, you start out running a business and you think, oh, but it's from here, it's just going to be smooth. And even if you've seen all the pitfalls, even if you worked with other people, you still fall into the trap of thinking that things are going to be simple. You have to be slightly optimistic to run a business. At least I think so, that if you're too negative, it won't work. You have to have an understanding that things can go wrong and you have to plan for it, because otherwise you can't run a successful business. But you have to be slightly optimistic. So when I started, my business, I also thought that it was going to be easy. And I thought, now that I'm marketing for this guy, I'll just get other companies, the definition companies. And I quickly found out that companies is very general.
Yeah.
It leaves a lot of space to, imagination of who needs the service. And if I walk into a room, 99% of them needs my help. They probably don't know it and they probably won't admit it, but 99% of them needs my help. So when I, saw that, I just thought, I'll just make some ads and then I'll make some money. And sure, I did get clients, but I got clients a little bit here, a little bit there. And it wasn't as focused and as channeled as when I started honing in on actually working with a specific group of people and really specializing in the problems that they have, that it really started to escalate and grow quickly. And when I finally made the shift, I started to hire people because there's fulfillment. You have to build ads. You have to monitor so that you have a delivering ad copy, a delivering creative, so that there is no ad fatigue. I don't know how much you want me to go into detail with all these things, because I can talk for like a million years.
Detail's good, man. Detail's good.
Yeah, good. So there's a lot of time that goes into that, and like I said, I have 2 kids. I kind of want to see them a little bit too, So I started hiring people, and probably one of the biggest struggles was not long ago. I think it was the end of 2017, 2018, something like that. I hired 2 sales reps, and I had a lot of leads coming in, a lot of people for them to book calls with, and a lot of stuff that they could start getting busy with. The problem was that I was building abroad, so they were also abroad to fit the time zone. But these guys, they snuck the clients. They didn't do any work for me. They just enjoyed my paycheck coming in every 14 days.
Wow.
And it really drained me. I mean, I lost most of the sort of business that I built up over time. And I lost my wanting to run a company. I was flat bottom. I really wanted to, throw in the towel, go back to getting a job. It really felt like that was it for me. But instead of doing that, I had some funds saved up. So I took some time off. I started thinking, what do I want to do? How do I want to build this company? And I realized there's a huge need. I've been running ads for mortgage brokers, what's it called? Insurance agencies and stuff like that in the States. Yeah. Some of the hardest markets in the world. I've learned from some great people. I've been very blessed to know the people I know, like you. I know some people who aren't just gimmicks in the field, who actually know what they're talking about. So I saw a need in Sweden for what I've learned, because in Sweden, in Denmark, in Norway, in Finland, in these little local European countries, it's still, will run Google ads for you. And then somebody's targeting 3 keywords, and you still have a generic website converting at 0.0001%.
And that's probably good.
Yeah. So I saw a need, and I as a person, I'm kind of like the pleaser. I like to help people. I like to feel like I'm doing something meaningful. So I thought, why not give it a second go, just with me, and then having a team in-house. So now I have a copywriter, it's steadily building up again, but it's much more controllable when you sit down with the people you work with, and when you build them per project, not per hour worked.
Yeah.
Because, it can be tinkered with. People can say, oh, but I've worked, I've worked 40 hours this week, so that's what I'm sending you a bill for. When in essence they've been smoking cigarettes for 40 hours with your time tracker on.
Yeah. What do you think your biggest learning curve has been from having those two sales guys effectively fleece you?
My biggest learning curve, probably the foundation on which I interact with my team. The way I'm able to motivate them, the way they get promotions, because I think if you set the structure up right for them to want to perform, it's a lot easier to really get quality material out of your team. But if you offer them a solution where if they're sitting on their ass, it doesn't matter because they're still covered, that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
I think they need a little bit of stick and a little bit of carrot in order to really get them moving. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for me. If you just give it all to them, they won't be motivated. Kind of like when you sell your service to somebody. If you give it away for nothing, they'll take it for nothing. They won't show up when you have a session. They won't really take you seriously. They won't take themselves seriously.
Massively.
I had a talk with some Indian dude. I try to help everybody again, but he reached out and asked me if I wanted to buy courses from some of my friends like Ross Christofoli and I don't remember all the names, but some of those, a little more known names in the industry. And I said, I know these people. Do you really want to, sell me something that scams my friends? No, I'm not scamming. I bought it from somebody. Yeah, but you are scamming.
Yeah.
You're not paying the full price, are you? No, that's true. And I tried to get him to realize that it's not so much the money you put down. It's that you're able to put that kind of money into yourself that will do something for your feeling of your worth that matters. And that will motivate you to put in the effort it takes.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you think that those values and having those values in the foundation of your business has allowed you to, because basically, 2 years ago when these sales reps came in and effectively took your business to zero and you took time off and reset. But now with these new values that you're building and this foundation that you're building, do you think that without those, you would be doing what you're doing today?
No, honestly, I don't. It may be counterintuitive, but there's beauty in the good, the bad, and the ugly too. If you're able to flip the paradigm, you buy a pair of shoes and they're uncomfortable at first, but once you get them, adapted to your feet, you'll wear them forever. I had a pair of shoes when I grew up. They were horrible when I bought them, and they created wounds on my heels, and I hated those shoes. But once I had, really gotten them worn in, man, the toes were sticking out of those shoes, and I'd still wear them. When we were going to fine dinners, all I wanted to wear was those shoes, and my mom would feel embarrassed, but I wouldn't be able to persuade otherwise. And I think it's the same, things that come easy in life, you don't really appreciate them. And sometimes you'll find out that the beauty is on top of the mountain, but you have to enjoy the journey to actually push through to get there.
Yeah. And do you think most people miss out on that journey? They just want the result.
Yeah, for sure. I think many of us, myself included, occasionally, I can't say that I'm a saint because, I'm just human too, but, occasionally we think that we need to do something so badly that all of a sudden we wake up and our kid is 10 years older and we haven't been able to spend the time with him that we were intending to at the first place. Because we forget to enjoy all the little things, the fights, the struggles, the ups and downs, and the beauty in the fact that you're becoming more on the journey there.
It's always about the journey, right?
Yeah.
I think, what I've noticed recently, and I suspect it's because it's a new decade and 2020, and people really, for some reason, this year has made a lot of people reflect. And I think it's the great thing about a new year and a new decade is it forces you to think about, oh, I remember, the Millennium New Year's. I remember 2001, 2002. And then you start thinking, wait a minute, that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When you need those moments, of reflectivity to sometimes wake up and realize, oh, actually, I've wasted 10 years of my life and not see my kid grow up and all that kind of stuff. But what happens is when we have those moments of reflectivity, it usually allows us, and it's probably what kind of happened to you when the sales reps thing, it allowed you to reflect and rejig what your focus was. And now your focus is probably stronger. It's a lot, your business is more streamlined. You're probably making more money, all these other aspects that come into it. For you, in this really noisy world we live in now, what do you think are some of the really great things that are coming out of the noise? Big question, I know.
Yeah, it's it's very broad, but I think that the fact that we have all the noise also makes us push for more connection. It makes us realize that with everything going on around us, we need to really cherish each other in the moment. We have all these computers. More and more people are starting to realize, okay, I need to take time off, shut off my phone and just be there at the moment. I think um, I think that we have like a point where we feel like, okay, this is where I want to be. And then when we reach that point, we go back to a point where, okay, this is where I don't want to be. We don't really have that sort of straight line. So let's say that we want to, have a clean house, or we want a good fat bank account. Once we reach our goal, we're sort of like we're slacking, we're sort of getting in our own way. And then we sort of go back to that point where, oh man, my bank account, I have 1,000 pounds in it. I need to work, man. I need to do something because this isn't good. And then we start working really hard. And for everybody, it's different things that come into place. But we all have these sort of like moments where everything is just bliss and great and perfect. And then we self-sabotage. And once we hit that sort of low, we work really hard. We get back up to that bliss point. And then I think that if you look at life over an overall spectrum, we have little moments where we hit our lows, where we become aware of who we are, of what we want to do and what we want to become. And I think that enables us to see people like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs and people like that who had a low and who thought, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
I need to do something differently. So somehow I think our human mind still makes it great that we have all this, trivia and tribulation and trouble in our life, because it makes us push for more.
Definitely. And it's as we grow and as we push for that more, those drop points and high points just come with us. Elon Musk, super successful, super rich, still has low points.
Of course he does.
Steve Jobs still had low points. Bill Gates still has low points. All these people that we admire in being, Russell Brunson in terms of ClickFunnels world, and Tony Robbins in coaching world, all these people that we admire still have low points, but they still have really great high points. And it's all subjective, I think, is a really crucial part to say. It's all very subjective from our own viewpoint in terms of what they look like and how they're viewed in our own eyes, but also the fact that it's all almost, I don't want to say, well, I am going to say it, it's almost irrelevant because it should be always about your own journey. It shouldn't matter the fact that Elon Musk has done this, or your favorite actor's done that, or your favorite marketers has done this, or whatever the situation is. What matters is when you're on your high points, what are you doing to make sure that high point gets higher each time and keeps growing and keeps moving forward, and you have that momentum? And likewise, when you're on those low points, what are you doing? One, to realize you're at a low point. Two, what are you doing to get yourself out of that low point? And three, what are you doing to not get rid of the low points? Because I think the low points are really good wake-up calls and learning curves, and you need them. But what are you doing to minimize them or limit them as much as possible? I always say to my clients that, if I work with someone for 6 months, I guarantee 2 months in that they're going to have a really crappy week. They're going to, because all these different sorts of processing and different looking at their business and questions that they've never considered, it has to end up at a low point in some cases. It's just the natural energy cycle of it. And when I tell clients that, they're always like, no, I'll be all right. Don't worry about it. I'll be fine. And what happens 2 months in? Guess what? They're on a really crappy week. And I go, well, yeah, it's cool. Don't worry about it, because if you know it's going to happen and you know what to do when you reach those low points, what it does is it gives you a huge sense of control.
Yeah.
And that control enables you to go off and build better things and reflect and do all these sorts of aspects. In your line of work, when you're working with coaches and therapists, and what I often see is, coach, like you said at the beginning, they know their skill really well, but quite a lot of them, let's face it, can't sell it, right? And they struggle to make money and all that kind of stuff. So for you, what is it about your line of work that enables you to have a fulfilling job and that helps them? Why is that so important to you?
Well, when I was young, we grew up, we never really had much. So, that means that we lived in pretty bad places, ghetto areas in Denmark. I remember one evening I was lying in my bed and I hear this pop, 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 pop. And it's two guys in a black BMW driving by and killing 3 people on a street corner with an AK-47. And I'd been standing on that same corner talking to some of the guys there just an hour earlier. Had I not had strict parents, I would have been there. And I got mixed up in a lot of stuff that isn't really something I'm proud of, but that gives me a lot of strength to draw from when things get hard. Where most people, they'll bend, they'll crack, they'll go and send themselves into a mental hospital. I'll push forward because I've been through harder stuff in my life. And when I've been to prison, I had a relation to a gang, and we had this guy. He got in prison in, I think it was Morocco, and to get by down there, you need some cash. And I didn't know. When you grow up in that kind of environment, you start to lose faith in yourself. You start to think that you're good for nothing. You start to wonder if you can ever do anything but criminality. And what basically ended up happening was that when I got out of prison, my mom said, it's okay. I believe in you. And for me, that was weird. I mean, I didn't believe in me, so why should she believe in me? So she encouraged me to start, maybe searching for answers, reading books. And one of the first books I picked up was Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
and I realized at that point when I read, I think, Unlimited Power, the key to
something.
The key to success. When I read that book, it was like a fist in the face. I realized that the sky was blue above me and I had possibilities. I didn't have to be this guy I thought I was meant to be. I realized that I believed that I couldn't become anything.
Yeah.
And a coach made me change. And then later in my life, I hit another low point, plateau, I'm working out pretty heavily, doing calisthenics, and then I realize I need to just, consume more protein because my muscle structure doesn't develop enough from the exercise I'm having and the diet I'm carrying. And that took me to the next level. So pretty much every time I've plateaued, somebody who saw me externally had a way of flipping my paradigm in a sense that I could get more pleasure out of my life. So when I've been, working in different industries and I had this broad vision where I'll just work with businesses, I had a talk with a friend who's also a coach. And he asked me, Teis, who do you want to work with? I mean, you're really good at what you do. You generate insane results. I've seen what you do, like 200 pounds, and you make 10K in 3 days for your clients. I mean, nobody else does that. I know you can do what you're doing, but who do you want to work with? And I have one of these moments like a fist in the face. Why haven't I thought like this?
Yeah.
Why haven't I asked myself this question? So I think back to the time when I just got out of prison and I thought I had no life left to live. That the only thing I could do was either die or get imprisoned. And I think, who changed that for me? Who would I like to help change the world? Coaches. Because they changed my life. I want to give everybody that. But they don't know how to do it, and I do. So I want to work with coaches. Even if I didn't get paid to do what I do, I would have worked with coaches because of the impact they've had in my life.
Yeah, this conversation has gone completely not where I thought it would go, but I'm so glad it's gone that way.
Yeah.
Because that's like those key moments in your life, and you had those external factors, whether it was a book or like your mum telling you that she believed in you, or anything that you know, nowadays it's probably maybe a YouTube video or podcast or an audiobook, right?
Sure.
But it's those moments, like we said earlier, it's those moments that changed your journey that is now enabling you to help other people. And that, for me, that's such a pure business person, which is like, kudos to you, but also a really pure marketing sort of ethos in that sense. The fact that actually you're really connected to your client's work, and you wouldn't be where you are now, not without coaching, but you wouldn't be where you're at now without those interceptions in your life, without those, even if it's like that one sentence from your mum, I believe in you, right?
Yeah.
That one sentence isn't a coaching conversation, but that triggered something in your head to go, okay, yeah, let's not end up in a life of crime, which you could have easily gone down.
Definitely.
We would not be having this conversation today if certain things didn't happen in your life. And same with everyone's life, right? So everyone has, every single moment, every single day, you have decisions to be made that alter your future, which, if you think about it too much, is just crazy. But this is something I think has been a really pleasant conversation for me, because I didn't know this side about you at all. I thought you were just a normal marketer that I get on really well with, and that I wanted to get on the podcast. But I'm really thankful that you've come on, and I'm really thankful for you sharing your story, because I think that's something that you don't do enough, because I didn't know about it. And you can do more, right? But my last question to you is, and I feel like you're going to go really deep in this, but my last question to you is, if you were going to give 3 people those moments of advice like you got throughout your journey, what would 3 moments of advice be?
3 moments of advice. Yeah, that was a real bee's nest. Well, the first would probably be to be present, to not jump ahead, to not have these presuppositions or predefinitions of what you want to achieve or what you want to be the outcome of a conversation that you have with somebody, because you never know where it's going to lead. Keep an open mind and really enjoy life, because there's beauty in it all. There's beauty in the bad, and there's beauty in the good, but there are different sides, and you need both of them. So really, be open and in the present. The second will be, don't compete with everybody else, because you're not everybody else. You're you. You're unique. If you go out on a basketball field, I love a quote by Coach John Wooden, and if he said to his players at every game, when you go out on the field, don't focus on what's on the board there. It doesn't matter how much the other team scores. If you've done better than you thought you would, you've had a major victory, and nothing on the board can be more worthwhile than that victory.
Yeah, that's great.
So fight for that. Fight to do better than yourself. You will be able to fool me and everybody else, but you won't be able to fool yourself. And if you don't deliver your best, you will know. And you will carry that with you in everything else you do. How you do some things is how you do everything. And the third thing would be to connect with other people and cherish those connections, because we're in a society where we're blasted with inputs from ads, from social media, from everything, and it's easy to be connected, and I think that's important. But really, get to know people. Call somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, and just be there, be present, and appreciate that, because life is it's about the moments. And if you can give something to somebody else like that, that's also something that's going to carry you for a long time.
I mean, you've just dropped 3 absolute gems there. Those were amazing. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate you coming on. If anyone wants to contact you or speak to you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Oh man, I've shut down all the easy websites that's easy to pronounce.
Just say Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yeah, but they're free to contact me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I have a website with my name spelled out in one, Teis Nilsson, TeisNilsson.com. And yeah, everybody's welcome, more than welcome to hook up, ask questions if there's anything they're wondering.
There we go. Thank you, dude. Really appreciate you coming on. This has been
Thanks
Founders365. I've been Steven Haggerty. Thanks everyone for watching and listening.